We are here for the 8th round of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship in Washington State in Washougal, and it is absolutely beautiful. We are here on the start line for the first 450 Moto Racer X show. I'm Georgia Lindsay.
That's right, it's the Racer X Motocross show presented by Motorsport.com. Now, the weather early in the day, it was not too sunny. That meant that the sunglasses were off, the eyes were wide open, and they all were focused, hoping to see two things. A Ryan Villopoto home track win, and B, a showdown between the title contenders in the 250 class who seem to have magnets pointed at each other and haven't raced all season long. Will the fans get what they want? You're just going to have to watch to find out. On to the highlights. We'll start with 450 Moto 1. Jason Weigandt here to give you the call. Riders headed down to the starting gate. Trey Kennard, he's just glad to be here. He has had all sorts of heartbreak at this track. He just wants to get through it safe and healthy. Best way to do it, of course, is to get a good start and watch Ryan Dungey control it here. Now, we know Dungey needs to bounce back after a rough one at Redbud, and he grabs the MotorcycleSuperstore.com whole shot clearly in this first moto. Several KTMs, Andrew Short and Michael Byrne with him, but soon Justin Barsha would plow his way past them for second. Then here's Andrew Short getting passed by Stewart, who would go to third. And then Kennard, well, he said he wanted to be safe. He did fall, but he wasn't hurt. That set him way back, though, and he would have to try to come from behind to even get top 10. So here's Stewart battling it out with Barsha, gets off the track. Luckily doesn't grab any of that repeater banner in the back of his bike. And then look who's there to put some pressure on. It's Ryan Villopoto. Took Villopoto a little while to get going in this one. Wasn't able to pass riders in bunches early like he's been lately. In fact, this battle for second between Barsha and Stewart was closer than Villopoto was the most of the time until Barsha goes down and hands second over to Stewart. But again, Stewart had a nice sizable gap. Here is Weston Pike back in action for the first time in a while. 8th in the first moto. Great ride by him. Here's Villopoto and Stewart. See the gap? Stewart really wasn't even feeling that much pressure until all of a sudden Villopoto said, I'm turning it up. And he went for it. In about a half a lap, he made up the distance. He caught Stewart. He passed him. Stewart got him back. Then Villopoto goes around the outside in these moguls to make the pass stick. Suddenly, Villopoto was on a charge. He lit the afterburners. He started trying to get Dungey, who had about a 5.5 second lead. But then Dungey saw the charge coming and stabilized it. It looked like Dungey was headed to the moto win. You know that's what the slow motion's for. But then how about this? On the last lap, Villopoto's still digging. He makes up time and gets Dungey in sight, but Dungey has the checkered flag in sight, and he takes the moto win. Another successful ride for Dungey at Villopoto's home track. Villopoto's going to need something special in Moto 2. 450, Moto number 2. Josh Grant looking for a good start in this one. Did I spoil it? Let's go racing in the second moto. MotorcycleSuperstore.com whole shot on the line, and it indeed is going to be the 33 of Grant, but he's got both Ryans with him. He gets the whole shot, bobbles in turn 2, and that allows Villopoto and Dungey to get by him. So immediately we have the battle everyone is looking for with Villopoto and Dungey up front, and then Stewart is going to get by Grant here. Grant apparently had back brake problems right from the get-go of this one, so he wasn't able to hold that lead for long. Behind him, you have the likes of Weimer, Reed, Tickle, Nicoletti, and they would go at it. More on that later. Let's focus on the leaders right now. Dungey with a good pace. Villopoto right behind him. Stewart trying to keep them in sight. Here they are up Horsepower Hill. Different lines there. Stewart said he made a bike change for the second moto that did not work. Villopoto, he made a bike change that did. And after a few laps, he was trying to set some lines up to make passes on Dungey. It would be a private duel as they distance themselves from Stewart. And here's that duel. Grant, Reed, Weimer, Tickle, Nicoletti, and eventually Short and Alessi also in this fight. It was awesome. Basically a 7-rider freight train from 4th place through 11th. But here's Villopoto closing in on the Dunge, and then a surprise pass. I don't think Dungey saw this one coming. Suddenly, Villopoto is into the number 1 spot, and then he's riding the back wheel trying to get away. Dungey would keep him honest for about 2 laps, and then Villopoto was just too strong, started getting away from the number 1. While Stewart was all alone in 3rd, that great battle behind him continued to rage. Grant loses position to Weimer. He still has Tickle and Reed right there, as well as Nicoletti. And then behind him, you would have Short and Alessi, who you'll see in a moment. There's Short. And remember, Alessi had won a moto here last year. Here's the infamous whoop section leading to the finish. Tickle would actually get to the number 5 spot, which is his best result of the season, ties his 5th place effort at Budds Creek. Then there's Alessi and Reed and Nicoletti. It was great racing behind this guy. Once Villopoto pulled away from Dungey, it was over. He was finally going to win his home race at Washougal. It sounds funny to say that Villopoto hasn't accomplished something yet. This one feels especially sweet. At least Dungey tied him on points for the day, and James Stewart solid for 3rd. Hey, boys, let's go chop some wood. Some pretty cool trophies here in the timberlands of Washougal. Some happy riders and fans up near the podium. Bring on the 250s. Waiting for Ken Roxon and Eli Tomac to actually battle in a moto, Justin Hill has been waiting to finally race at his home track at Washougal. It would work out well for him. More on that later. Off the start, it's Justin Bogle doing it for the Okies. Going to grab the motorcyclesuperstore.com hole shot. But Tomac's off to a good start in front of Baggett, Hill, Muscan, Martin Davalos, who's back in action after some food poisoning. And, of course, you know, if it's a good start for Tomac, probably not a good one for Roxon. That seems to be the theme this year. Tomac slips past his teammate Bogle to take the lead. Then Baggett and Muscan go after Bogle for 2nd. And finally, at the back of this train, there's Hill and Webb, and finally, the 94 of Roxon. Also Osborne and Cincerillo, Jeremy Martin in this bunch. Tomac starts to slip away, so the battle shifts to 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. It is a good one. Check out the rookies here swapping it. Webb on the 175 and a 317 a Hill. They could be racing in the A-class at Loretta's in a few weeks. Instead, they're doing it here at Washougal. Tomac doing it as well, and well. He is out front. Lead is big. Bogle's in 2nd. I'll tell you, Bogle really needed this. He's had some flashes of brilliance so far this summer, but really needs a couple consistent runs to rebuild some confidence after all the injuries he's had over the last year and a half. This was what the doctor ordered. Uh-oh. Roxon has now gotten past the rookies like Webb and Hill and is going after his teammate Muscan for 4th as Baggett goes after Bogle for the number 2 position. And these were the battles to watch because Tomac was out front and crushing it. Finally, Baggett would make the move on Bogle. Here are the KTM riders ready to duke it out. What did I say about Tomac crushing it? Yeah, he was gone. By the way, his dad came in here with cast on both arms after a mountain bike accident while battling it out with his son in the mountain bikes a couple days before this event. Okay, Baggett 2nd, right? Things are looking good for the champ. Bike problems, just like that, a DNF for him. So Bogle is back into 2nd. Now he's under pressure from Roxon, who had gotten around his teammate Muscan. Bogle ran a good race. Here's that famous Supercross whoop section before the finish line here at Washougal. Here's Roxon putting some pressure on, and it would finally pay off. He would get around Bogle, so would Muscan. Bogle would still finish this one in 4th, which ties his best moto finish of the year. He's just, again, trying to rebuild confidence. 4th is good for him. Really good, though, Eli Tomac, who has found something extra in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to match him in pure speed. Last moto of the day, 250 Moto 2. Clearly this time Tomac and Roxon actually do start together. Look, they're side by side. Now Roxon gets to the first turn before him, but Tomac pulls some slick moves to get toward the front along with all of his teammates. All 4 Geico Honda riders were 1, 2, 3, 4 off the start in this one. Will Hahn was actually credited for the whole shot. He lost the front end of the first lap, went backwards. You still had Bogle and Osborne there with Roxon and the rest of the field. Then Roxon would get around everyone into the number 2 spot, so we finally had the race we wanted to see. Tomac and Roxon one-on-one. Another good start for Bogle. Here he is in 3rd with Osborne 4th. So what would happen when you put the 17 up against the 94? They were fairly close early, but you can see now a little bit of a gap for the 17 of Tomac as they headed toward Horsepower Hill. And Tomac just kept getting faster and faster and faster and pulling further away from Roxon. The battle we wanted to see, well, it really wasn't materializing for the lead. So we'll move back here to the Bogle, Osborne, Muscan, Baggett fight for podium positions. Bogle was on it today. Osborne and Muscan have had a lot of podiums this year. They couldn't do anything with him early in this thing. A little bit further back, Baggett trying to make up for the problems he had in Moto 1. Unfortunately, he'd make a mistake and fall out of that battle. Now Muscan starting to roll, going after Osborne. Tomac, lead is big. It would get up to 20 seconds at one point. And Roxon took it on the chin. He just said that Eli was too strong, too fast on this day. He's still clinging to the points lead. Let's go a little further back. Look at the teammate battle. You've got the 77 of Jeremy Martin, the 175 Cooper Webb. Their other teammate, Kyle Cunningham, was in this fight for a while. Then eventually Hahn, recovering from that first lap mistake, would catch them as well. Finally, Osborne would get around Bogle, and then it was Musquin's turn to try to get the 34. Tomac takes the Moto win, his first 1-1 sweep of the year. He does it straight up with the big lead over Roxon. All the momentum now going the way of the Colorado kid. He's down by just 1 point in the standings. He's going to go back to Colorado and chop some wood. Musquin, third overall on the day. Let's send it down to Georgia Lindsay with Justin Bogle.
It is the end of the day here in Washougal, and I'm joined by Justin Bogle. Justin, it was a pretty awesome day. Let's start off. Let's just start with a whole shot.
Okay, that was one of the best starts I've ever done in my life. It was pretty perfect. It's pretty awesome feeling when as soon as the gate dropped, you're like, whole shot, got it.
Yep.
It was sweet. So.
And you led for the first lap. You led
I
the race.
I wanted to make sure I got to that green flag, still in the lead. So that was cool, and I ran third both motos for most of them, and then I think I ended up fourth overall, which is my best outdoor so far this year. So I'm not bummed. I was really close to a podium. I was really wanting to get up there, but at the end of the day, I'm making improvements, and I'll get there. So
definitely, that's the main thing. You're making improvements, but let's be honest here. You were strong up until the last 5-10 minutes. Did you get tired? Be honest.
No, actually, a lapper took me really wide on one of the downhills, and that's when Zach passed me, and then
things kind of went.
Things kind of just derailed from there. But Marvin passed me, I passed him back, and then he kind of came in pretty hard and ruined my momentum for the hill, and I got passed by him and someone else too. So I didn't get tired. First moto, I for sure had issues with my wrist got a little bit weak and kind of was losing the bars a bit, but that's just something I got to deal with, and it's not that big of a deal. So my conditioning's good. I feel like I've been working hard, so that's not the issue. Just getting up there and getting comfortable with the pace and being up there. So.
Well, you've changed up your training, everything to do with outside of just riding. You've changed up. It appears to be working out. Going into Millville, what's your thoughts?
Millville, I love that track. And now we're kind of into the tracks that I've been to before. I've been here, I raced here last year. So that's a big plus. Honestly, it helps a lot having actually been to the track before. So I think I did pretty decent last year at Millville. So I'm looking forward to that one. And, I've my riding coach, Robbie Raynard, definitely killed it at Millville quite a few times. So definitely hit him up for some pointers and come in and try to get there. I want to get on the podium.
Well, you're making improvements and you're getting there closely. So let's see another whole shot as good as today and get on that podium for next weekend. Well done today, Justin Bogle.
Thank you.